Greetings everyone, this is Long Yu. So now I will continue to talk about the Tibetan dragons and the real account stories of people actually seeing these dragons in Tibet. Dragon stories recounted by Chogyal Rinpoche. When I was young, living in Tibet, I believed in dragons. Everybody believed in them. I came out of Tibet to India in 1958 or 1959, when I was around 11 or 12. For many years, I didn't think about dragons as it was a time of study. Then I met many Westerners who became friends. They said that it's not true, dragons don't exist. They said a dragon was people's imagination, a mythical animal, and so my concepts changed and I thought they don't exist. It wasn't a big thing for me, and neither was it a big thing believing in them in Tibet. It became clear that most people didn't believe, so my mind was changed. Later, when we studied Drukpa Kagyu history, we learned why it is called Drukpa, named after the dragons that the founder Tsangpa Gyare saw. Somehow, I came to suspect that there was something more to certain events in Tibet to do with dragons. This conviction began to grow when a number of respectable people told me stories about what had happened when their spiritual teacher, Dordzong Rinpoche, who was earlier my Dharma brother, but who I now regard as a teacher and inspiration, visited a holy place in Tibet in his childhood. Because the whole village had seen these special signs at the birth of this child, they had great respect for him, and they used to talk about how 9 dragons were perceived when the young Dordzong Rinpoche visited Yonten Ritro in Romi. Still to me, it seemed like people's imaginary fantasy, and yet the stories were very honest, but I couldn't help thinking that it must have been very special clouds, even though the description seemed very convincing. I came across more and more reliable people, the sort who don't just accept mysterious things, who are very down to earth and not the type to fall for fantasies. They told me they had really seen dragons in Tibet and gave very precise descriptions of the place, time, distance involved, size, color, and shape. So I have come to believe that dragons existed in Tibet before. And they still do exist. A dragon ascending into the sky. A very well-known occasion that took place in the presence of thousands of people was the famous dragon ascending into the sky from the hill in front of Nukgon Monastery in Gongzhou, Kham. This was when the 8th Dordzong Rinpoche visited the monastery to perform the enthronement of Hopa Rinpoche and to bless the reconstructed shrine, which had been destroyed in the Cultural Revolution. The ceremony was held inside the temple on the 16th of June, 1993, but the majority of people could not fit inside and were waiting outside and praying. Suddenly, everyone saw a dragon emerge from the top of the hill and shoot into a cloud. As is tradition in Tibet and especially among the Gonjo people, at a joyful moment, they all shout, Ki! Lagyalo! Ki! Lagyalo! An ancient call which means be happy, may the gods be victorious. When the shouting outside reached the people inside the temple, they thought that the people were drunkenly happy and shouting with joy. This is what they told Dordzong Rinpoche. Then people from outside ran in and told of the dragon ascending into the sky from the hill in front of the monastery. Tibetans believe that when you see a dragon ascending into the sky, any wish you make will be fulfilled, so they usually pray for the peace and happiness of all beings in every world by shouting, Samchan, Tamchalagamo, Chidmo, Yongo, Konchok, Tashi. Dordzong Rinpoche's personal photographer was called outside to see the strange event, and he saw the dragon flying from mountaintop to mountaintop, waving its tail. He ran straight away to get his camera from the lama's room in the upper resistance and returned to take pictures. By then, most of the dragon's body had passed into the rain clouds, but the last part of it was still bending and rolling up and down. So many people really saw it, thousands of people all together. So it was not an illusion, it was a real event. So after that, I became fully convinced that there are dragons, and then I asked many of the senior people in Tashijong, have you seen dragons? I wanted to investigate who had seen them. A snake with horns. Among senior Tibetans, I met a very few reliable people who have seen dragons. One was Pematashi, an older man, very well respected, very honest, and very intelligent. He was one of the very hardworking and dedicated people who worked for Tashijong, a very important member of the community in those days. He said he had seen a dragon. When he was young in Tibet, his family were nomads in the area of Ling around Deje. One morning, when he was taking the yaks to graze in the pasture, he very clearly saw a snake with horns. He was very surprised. It stayed in one place, and he looked very carefully and said, yes, it has horns. He was really astonished, and he left the yaks there. He was very small, and he ran back to his family in their black tent, screaming to everyone, there's a snake with horns! Come and see! Older family members said, no, that's a dragon. There's no point in going there to see. If we go there, it won't be there. It will have disappeared. He said, no, it definitely will not disappear. Come, I'll show you. It is very short, very clear grass, no bushes, nowhere for it to disappear. So they all went, and when they got there, it had totally disappeared. The dragon sucking up water from a stream. This story was told to me by H.E. Ado Rinpoche, who heard it from a very high Gelogpa Rinpoche from Amdo. The Amdo Rinpoche and his monks went for a picnic with their families. Tents were put up, wood collected, and water was brought to the store-pled fireplace. Some of the group started to make a fire and to boil water for tea. Some had no task, so went into a wood to have some moments of practicing love and compassion, prayer and meditation. They heard a loud sound like a tornado. In fact, they thought it was a tornado, and they all tried to run to the trees and hold on to them. But it wasn't that, and they were fine. The high sound made the wild animals that were freely wandering in the area run around in shock, but there was no harm to anyone. Then they clearly saw a dragon stretching down towards a spring and sucking up a jet of water into its mouth. Within a flash, the dragon went back up into the clouds with a happy, contented roaring. The hunter who falls into the dragon's den. It was when I was young, living in Tibet, peaceful and happy. One of my personal tutors was Bente Kun Zong. He was old, around 75, and with white hair, always kind and compassionate. He was very good at telling stories when we had free time. He was a wonderful monk. I remember one time he told me a story about a dragon. One day a hunter, by mistake, reached a huge crevice in a hill. He slipped and fell down deep into the ground, so deep into the earth that it was not possible for him to escape. All around were smooth rocks. He found that he was lying on something soft and moving. After a while, he regained his sight in the dark. He saw two big, bright eyes in the corner, gazing at him, and he heard the sound of deep breathing. Although it was winter, it was warm. The hunter lost his mind in fear, neither moving nor bothered by hunger or the need to sleep. Since there was no way to escape, he stood still and then slowly sat in a dark corner. He realized that here was a dragon. Within a few days, he found that the dragon was harmless. It was a mother dragon nursing 2 baby dragons, one male and one female. The mother dragon had a jewel in her lap, which was the source of her energy. She shared her milk with the babies and the hunter. The milk was warm and pure, giving great energy and a healthy feeling. Until springtime came, the hunter chanted Om Mani Padme Hum and made his home in the dragon's den. When spring came, the dragon started to become agitated. The hunter knew that this was his only chance to escape to his home and the world above. One day it was clear that the dragon was leaving for the sky. The hunter held the tail of the mother dragon. While hugging the tail, he kissed it 108 times in thanks and looked to his underworld brother and sister with love and tears. Since then, dragons are his parent and family. Truth is truth. Listening to Tibetans recounting sightings of dragons in Tibet is extraordinary. To see a dragon in our world would be unbelievable, but in a culture where dragons are real, it is special. It is a great blessing to see one, and a fact of life in the remote mountain areas of Tibet. Many dragons were truly seen. They are true. Otherwise, why would so many good people tell useless stories? What benefit is there to tell something that is not true? In earlier times, Tibetans knew who told the truth and whose words were not reliable. The population was small, and generations of people in an area knew each other very well. Dragons are real. I have no wish to prove the existence of dragons. For what reason would I try to prove this? Truth is truth. Kogyo Ringpok. Om Mani Padme Hum is the most commonly used mantra among Tibetan Buddhists. 108 is a sacred number in Tibet and India. Alright, so that is the end of this story series on the dragons of Tibet. So, once again, I want to emphasize that dragons are real. They are a part of our existence in this material world, just as there are cats and dogs, just as there are horses and cows that really truly exist. There are, just as well, dragons that truly and really exist. And so I am trying to show this in many various ways through these dragon videos, the true existence and reality of these dragon species. So I might continue on with this series depending on what more information I wish to share upon it. So I'll see how things go. But as I said, these dragons, they are very auspicious. They are very giving. They are very kind to human beings, and they offer protection. And they are just like Lord Buddha, being protected and covered by the Naga Sesha, the hooded dragon with many heads. And so this is something that unfortunately Western society does not validate any truth in this, and would call this mythological and imaginary and so forth, just like they claim so many other things is mythological and not real. And Western society needs to wake up. Seriously, wake up and see the expansiveness of life that exists here on this planet Earth and throughout the entire universe and universes. So thanks for listening, everyone, and you all have a beautiful, blessed day.